Good to have you all on board. It's another time, tutorial 64, and in today's tutorial, that brings to me the continuation of the course POL315. And in today's class, we are taking our bearing from what it says reliability. And just as we all know, we have been taking a series of classes, all right, taking a series of classes on research work in political science. And in line of that, we are continuing with reliability. How reliable is research work to political science? For those of us who are into the stream, let's ensure to subscribe to the channel. Let's ensure to smash like button, and also let's ensure to give us a thumbs up. This helps the algorithm to send more message to others about what we're doing here on YouTube. Now, according to what we have in the course material, just a moment. Okay. Now, according to what we have in the course material, speaking of reliability, what are we simply referring to? We talk about reliability. What are we really referring to? What are we talking about? I'm going to find out in a moment. I'll get my material set. Okay. Now, as we have talked about scales in our last class, and we've talked about the different types of scales we have. So today, speaking of reliability, okay, we are simply referring to the extent to which results are consistent over time. The extent to which results are consistent over time. Not just consistent, all right, and the accurate representation, all right, of these results. Okay, these we refer to as reliability. In the sense that the filed results, presented results of an ongoing research, all right, can be relied upon, all right. So let's take something down on that. Speaking of reliability, from the word reliable, all right, consistent and accurate results, all right, of the total population under the study. All right, but we don't have to go that way. When we talk about reliability in research work, we are simply referring to the consistent and accurate presentation of results. Presentation of research results. Now, let's take a step further. It says here that according to Brayman, this is opined by Job. All right, this was a definition by Job in 2000. So now, by Brayman in 2004, Brayman is of the opinion that when we speak of reliability, we are simply referring to results are repeatable. So when results are repeatable, then we can say these results is reliable. All right. When it's the same thing today, all right, the same figure remains there when it's being tested. So it's more like, okay, when we put this under subjection or put it under scrutiny, irrespective of the professor, the philosopher, or the scientist, the results are the same. All right. When this is what Bryman is telling us here, that when the results of a study are repeatable, that is according to Bryman. So let's take a step further. Now, it says here validity. So these are terms that are very peculiar to the research work. All right, these are terms very peculiar to research work. And when we speak of validity, is a term used to describe a measure or indicator. All right, it's a term used to describe a measure or indicator that accurately measures the item or concept it is intended to measure. More like how valid is results. So it's a test of validity. Now let's look at it this way. It says here an indicator that specifies accuracy in measurements. An indicator which specifies accuracy in terms of measurement. Yes, this result is valid based on certain yardstick, based on certain measurement conducted. Are we together? So we have that as that. Validity can pose serious challenge in evaluation. So why is this? This is because political concepts often carry more than one meaning. Okay, let's take for instance power for as case study now. Power can be defined, all right, as a person's ability to make do as he or she wants them to do. But an investigation of true power is exercised will lead to some problem. All right, the same power being investigated get different results because you can consider power from different angles. All right, this is a term that has more than one meaning. This is because power may include the use of force. That's another power entirely. When you use power alongside threats, That's another power entirely. When you use power alongside persuasion, it's another power entirely. All right. And when you use power alongside reward, it's also another thing entirely. So this is a concept that can be considered from different perspectives. So therefore, validity in political research can encounter some problems which need to be taken into consideration. Okay, so we have that as that. Now, there are three aspects of validity that are important for consideration. Three aspects. First aspect is called the face aspect or the face validity, the criterion and the construct. All right, face, criterion, and construct. Speaking of the face validity, here indicator seems to be what reasonably measure some variable. All right, this is the specifics. For face validity, we are talking of the specifics. All right, criterion validity, the extent to which a measure relates to some external criteria. This can be achieved by relating measures to another measure to know. This is more of comparison. All right, when you put in certain consideration, what measures should be executing, you compare other measures, and you get to the junction whereby you then decide, okay, this is more valid. I think I will be using this measure as this research is concerned. Then we have the construct validity. Now you have the specifics. All right, you weigh your chances. Then the construct is the next thing. Is the construct validity. This refers to the accuracy of the operational definition of variables. Don't forget, we say you are specific about the variable you are being particular about. You measure different variables in criterion, and you begin to do your construct according to the available definition of variable at your disposal. Those are the three considerations you need to consider when you talk validity. So now let's talk about the reliability in qualitative research. Qualitative research. What are the reliability in qualitative research? Now, like we said earlier, the term reliability is a concept used for testing or evaluating the quantity research. All right. And idea is most often used in all kinds of research. Now, if we see the idea of testing as a way of informating the elicitation, the most important test of quantity research study is quantity. Now, what are we talking about here? What we are simply referring to is that a good qualitative research will help us understand a situation that would otherwise be confusing. Are we together? That's the more reason why we are considering reliability in qualitative research. All right, because with this, you can there get a better understanding, all right, in situations that would otherwise be confusing. Now, let's hear what Patton has to say. On in 2001, states that validity and reliability are two factors which any qualitative researcher should be concerned about while designing a study, analyzing results, and judging the quality of the study. Now, let's split it. Validity in qualitative research. So you are going to understand that as a researcher, when you are conducting your research work, designing your study, and analyzing your results, you need to put into consideration the reliability of your qualitative research in the sense that, you know, when we say qualitative now, we're not being numerical specific. But when we say quantitative, then we are being numerical specific. All right, so now we're being told here that according to Patton's of the opinion that you need to put into consideration the state of the validity and the reliability of, all right, your research. Now that we understand reliability, helping to understand reliability in qualitative research or qualitative study, helping you to understand, all right, situations that would otherwise be confusing. So for validity now, in qualitative research, it describes the wide range of terms. All right, it describes a wide range of terms in qualitative study. Now, what we need to understand is that this concept of validity in QR is not single, fixed, or universal concept, but rather a contingent structure, a structure that is based on changes. All right, inescapable, all right, inescapably grounded in the processes and intention of a particular research methodology. So validity now is not a fixed method. It's a method that is subject to changes. Right now, these changes are now the case of the chosen research method and the nature of your project. That's what determines the validity of the qualitative research you are conducting. All right. Now, with that being said, let's move to the all right, survey. When we speak of survey, what are we referring to? I believe this term is not new to us, something we must have come across. The term we must have seen, heard of, and we've used in our retrospective level. Now, we say a survey, we are simply referring to as a systematic observation. Okay? A survey is a systematic observation and recording of human behavior, all right, of human behavior in social system in order to develop and test social theories. And the recipe in this definition are a survey is a systematic observation. Let's note that first. A systematic observation. All right. Observation of human behavior. So you are systematically observing what? Human behavior. Okay. You are systematically observing human behavior. Okay, you are systematically observing human behavior. And why do you have to go through all this observation? Reason being that you are developing and testing social theory. Okay, that was the thing for the service provider. I think it's tabled now. Let's continue. All right, so as I was explaining, as far as survey is concerned, it is systematic in the present observation. And what you do it is because you want to develop and test social theories. Now let's take a step further. It says here, survey covers a wide variety of inquiry. All right, so the all and sundry of conducting or carrying out a survey is because your intention is to what? Is to provide answer to a wide variety of inquiry. So therefore, survey research focuses on populations or the universe. Okay, So by systematically observing this part of the universe, we need to collect data. All right. Data are collected from the population for intense study and analysis. Although you must have heard of the term population, definitely you are conducting a research, you need to have a population in mind. And the population we're talking about here is more like a specific group of people, a nation or a country, which you can specifically study or systematically study. And by doing so, you can collect information or data from these countries, group of people, societies, and so on and so forth. As here, survey research, all right, has to do with finding out attitudes, ideas, and disposition of a particular population. And in survey, not everyone in a population can be studied. All right, it will be unrealistic to study everyone in the population. It is not possible. All right, what is obtainable is collecting a sample of that population. Sometimes you wonder why you find a stream in a particular local government. For you to say you want to fetch all the water in that stream or all the water that makes that stream, and you want to conduct research, will be impossible. All right. So what is possible is for you to get a sample, a specimen from the stream itself. So that specimen or the sample from that stream is what you then take to the lab where you conduct a niche down, a systematic, a concentrated research upon. So from there, you can now decide, okay, yes, this is it. The same thing, the same thing goes for human as well. You go to the hospital, you want test. I mean, doctor will not hold you forever. Right? You must stay here. No, so it depends on the kind of test you want to do. Some tests might require your blood sample. Some some of your blood is being extracted and filled up in a container or in a jar for testing. And while you can take your leave, and when the result is out, you get your result. What are we saying in essence? Uh, Conducting research on a particular population, you definitely cannot study every member of that population. We need to collect a sample from that population. All right. And a sample is said to be a selected portion from the population which you are conducting research on. So what are the steps in survey process? Okay, there are steps in survey process. First, plan and design your survey. Secondly, collect data. Okay. Third, data access. Now, you need to complete your questionnaire. All right. Group them, data you have collected, group them, you collect data through the help of the questionnaire. So these data on this questionnaire we worked upon. Then you need to think of now presenting and preparing and managing your data. This stage, you extract useful information. Information is different from data. All right. So now you begin to extract information from the data you have collected. Okay. When data is being processed and makes sense, then it is called information. But data in its raw state has little or no usefulness. So when it is processed or worked upon, it then becomes information. And information is what you need to make decisions. Okay, so we have that. Now, there are some advantages of survey research. Survey, some of the advantages are survey is an instrument which is used to investigate problems in a realistic setting. Basically, is what it is. The cost of survey is reasonable, right? Not too expensive, and a large amount of data, excuse me, collected with relative ease from a variety of people. Now you get access to a whole lot of data with little or no effort. All right, when you use this kind of research method, you have gathered a whole lot of information, data from little or no effort. Now, some of the limits are severe disadvantage is that independent variable cannot be manipulated. All right, variables, independent one cannot be manipulated. You just okay. Let me put it this way. Let's say, for example, you collected it from the stream. All right, the sample you have in your lab cannot be manipulated in the sense that it's either you change that water to get a different result, or you stick with the water and stick with the results. It cannot be manipulated because you have the data, all right, and you've been able to process to get information, even though the information is not what you had anticipated. But the fact is still that independent variables, which is from your sample, can never be manipulated. All right. So we also have if the sample is largely unrelated, the result will have relevance. Okay. To other situations, even though the sample size is fairly large. All right. So this has to be the case of collecting data from your respondents. Right. If it's not properly guided, the questionnaire or the data collected might do little or no, might be of little or no help at all. So some of the errors in research, in survey research are sampling error. Now this kind of error arises because it's extremely unlikely that one will end up with a truly representative sample. It still boils down to what we talked about now, that if the questionnaires are not properly presented, all right, and are not properly collected, I mean, these are the source of your decision making process. All right, that would be a serious error, which is a sampling error. All right, we can distinguish what might be thought of sampling related error. This is error that is summed under the category of non-sampling error. Now, what are we saying here? That the sampling error is a very serious kind of error, all right, which requires that you pay detailed attention to the presentation of your samples. Now, this type of error may result from poor question wording. All right, poor question wording. All right, the information the data you are looking forward to get might not be getting in the. So when we talk about poor representation, it boils down to questionnaire because the questionnaire is the front line man. They are being presented to your respondent, and if these questionnaires are not properly structured, the respondent will have they're not properly represented. The respondent will have difficulties understanding the kind of question you're asking, and if the question is not understood, definitely you're not getting the answers you deserve or you desire. Okay. Now, speaking of questionnaire, it is an organized assemblage of questions. Organized, underline one, organized assemblage of questions or items related to the problem of the study. All right. related to the problem of study. So you can't be doing a questionnaire that is not related to what you're studying. It doesn't even go well at all. So we have that as that. Now, questionnaire can come in two forms. It is structured and unstructured. The structured don't give the respondents the opportunity to express themselves. It is more like, is Abuja the capital of Nigeria? You have agreed, strongly disagree, strongly agreed, disagree, strongly disagree, or I don't know. So it's either you are agreeing or you strongly agree, or you are disagreeing or you strongly disagree. The respondent don't get the option of expressing why they agree or why they don't disagree, or why they don't agree, or why they disagree. That's the structure for you. All right. Everything is structured. Your answers are even structured. Yes or no, true or false. Okay. But the unstructured, the questionnaire gives you the opportunity to what? Express yourself. This is why I think this, and this is the solution I'm recommending. That is for the unstructured. So we have elements of questionnaire. Some of the elements are demography. All right, you are considering the kind of people, all right, their way of life, their location. There are certain things that are obtainable in certain locations, they are not obtainable in some other location. So you have demographic items, information items. This relates to specific issues about the concrete idea that are expected. So we have that as that. So we're going to call it a wrap it for now. And next class, we're talking about, okay, data. Let's talk about data in our next class. Data and the types of data gathering. Thank you very much, everyone. I believe you all have been able to learn something in tonight's class. Please let's ensure to keep our notes up and send it to the appropriate quarters. Do have a wonderful evening and bye for now.